Hi everyone, I hope you're having a lovely afternoon. That's a bit glary, isn't it? There, pop it there. I just wanted to show you some easy ways of lining up these decorative masks from Stampin' Up. So I thought I'd pick, quite a few of you have bought this set recently, so I thought we'd just have a go of having a closer look at some easy ways of colouring this stamp with stencils. So it's the Layers of Beauty. So you can, in the bundle is the stamp set, so lots of lovely stamps, so you can see them all there, and then the fantastic die cuts. So this has cut out this main piece, and there's lots of other little extra pieces in the die cuts as well. And then there's the 5 masks, so 3 to colour the roses, the actual flower, and then 2 for the leaves. So I'll just show you a couple of little things that I've done. So here's just a couple of cards. So this card, I've actually coloured them with the same coloured inks, the Petunia Pop, and I've actually used an old Close to My Heart ink pad, but I'm going to use this one here, the Mint Macaron, which is in the clearance sale at the moment, the clearance rack. So if you're interested in this colour, it's on for, I think, $5.40, so it's a bargain. And so here I've just used Mink. So you can see I've stamped with the Mink ink. So it's come up like a bit of a watercolour effect. And this one I've stamped with the black ink. This one here I've again stamped with the Mink ink. I've gone harder with the Petunia Pop. So you can see I've used the same colour on each of the layers, but with this middle card, the flower, I've just gone a lot lighter. This one I've got a lot darker. So you can see the pink on each of those cards is the same colour. So that's the joy of the blending brushes, because you can get such a lovely variety with the colours. Okay, and then I have to show you this. This was my mum's birthday cake topper. So here I've just stamped directly on the card. So what I want to show you first is just stamping it onto a die. Now when you're trying to line up your stamps with your die cuts that have already been cut out, it's a little bit hard when white is on white. So what I find is easier to do is, if you've got nice mucky card like this, scrap paper, so that you can then see it quite clearly. So if we ink up first, and I find it's best if you're directly over. So this is kind of triangular, and we just aim, and I always, sorry, my head's probably in the way, I always try and get right over the stamp. Give it some good cardiac compression to make sure it's all inked up nicely. There we go. So that's inked up. Then with the masks, you've got them marked at the top. So I don't know if you can actually see the number. So the number's actually embossed in the top corner where the little, you might be able to just see it there where my fingernail is. Not quite. But it's under the little V. So each of the 5 masks line up perfectly with the little V. So basically what you're doing, and I like to just put a little piece of double-sided tape on the back of the die cut piece just to hold it in place. So when I'm doing the different layers, And then if you look at the mask, so make sure the number is facing up. Look at the mask and think, right, I can see there's 3 big flowers. And so you're turning it around to line up as best you can. Okay, and then just twist it until it's all lined up. So lining up your little flowers, your little buds here, making sure everything's nicely lined up. And then with a pen, you can just mark in the little V so that when it comes to putting the next stencil on, you've got somewhere to start from. So with the ink pads, with the Stampin' Up! Ink pads, you're basically just pulling them apart and then sliding them into place so they're nice, so it forms a nice stable position. So some people have said to me, oh, Lucy, you could just tape. Yes, you could just use a bit of washi tape and hold it down, but I find that's a bit too much of a fiddle for me. I like to get in and craft quickly. So lining it up, so I just hold it. There's plenty of space to hold around the stencil. Now your first layer is going to be nice and light. So just going on nice and lightly. So you can see that's done. And then we go the second layer. So just check, yep, that's number 2. And again, we're looking for the different pieces. So you've got the 2 large roses and the single one. So we know they're going to be about there. And then what we'll do is I look for the centers of the little flowers. So if we get the centers of these 2 little flowers right, then everything else will kind of fall into position. Now the other thing is here, there's this little V here. We just get that right as well. And I think this little bit here, I like to follow, and this other little bit here. So if they're all right, then we know we're all lined up. And now without even re-inking, we can just go over that again and see how it's all matched up here. I didn't even look at the notches. I went straight for lining up the flowers. So you can see there you've now got 2 tones going on. And then we'll put our third one. So lining up the little notches, that'll give us a good idea. But see how you can see the light pink through here. So we just shift it a little bit to line up the centers of the little flowers. So there's 5 little flowers with the center, and then you can see everything else looks lined up. So you can see the line here is lined up. Our little V here is lined up. So that way it just helps you. If you forget to do your notch, you know you can look at the flower to get lined up. And here we're going to go nice and dark. So especially on the little centers of the flower so that you can get that real contrast going on. Oops, and see it slipped, but we just, before we start colouring again, just move it back into position. And there we go. So that's all done. Now we go for the green. So again, just pull open and slide into position. Now with these ink pads, just really make sure that you're just pouncing on them. Don't rub on them, just pounce. I find pouncing works quite nicely, and they're heavily inked, so it's a good way of just treating your ink pads nice and kindly. So again, lining up. Now we're going to line up. This is the number 4 stencil. So we're lining up number 4. Now you could do 4 and 5. So the leaf layers and then your flowers. So that doesn't matter. You could go 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, or you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you've got people sharing the stencils, one person can be doing the leaves while the other person's doing the flowers. So again, we're just lining up the notches, and then we just line up the leaves just to make sure the leaves are all lined up. And that looks pretty well lined up. And again, with the leaves, we're going to go light on the first layer and then dark on the second layer. So that's probably dark enough. And then our second layer of leaves, so our number 5 stencil, we just pop in place. See how you can see the white here? So that's not quite lined up. When we're putting our top layers on, we don't want to see any white. So that's another indication that you might just not be quite lined up if you can see white through your stencil. So again, another little pounce, and we're going to go darker here. And you can always lift it off, and if you think, oh, I'd like to go darker, then you can put the layer back on and go darker again. So I'll just show you that off all the colour. You can see I've been doing these. Oh, there's a bit of white. So you can see there that's come up quite nicely. Let me actually just put this a little bit lower again. There we go. That's a bit better. Excellent. So that's done and ready to go onto another card. But the other thing that I wanted to show you is that if you wanted to, say, like I've done with Mum's cake topper, if you're just wanting to stamp off the page, and how you can line that up, because that sort of gets a little bit more difficult. So here's our trusty stamp here. So we'll just ink that up. I'll show you what I mean. So I just want to add, I've stamped the happy birthday already on this, I think it's called perennial postage dies. And I think they're lovely. I really like them. So what I tend to do is when I'm stamping off the page, I'm going to pick bits. See these 3 leaves? They're an easy one to line up. And also having some of these little flowers here. So if I stamp that there and then turn it around, and I can stamp that 3-leaf one again. So I've got that stamped there. So this is one where you could use your notches, but it might actually go off the page. So what I'm going to do is just show you how easy it is to line them up anyway. So here we've got our big rose. No, our big rose is up the top here. And we're just going to line it up and see how, if we line up the little flower and these 2 little flowers together, line up our big rose, we've got it. So again, we're just going to very lightly go over it, and then we're going to turn it around and we're going to do the same thing. So you've got this point here, which is the equivalent of this little point on that petal there. So it's just working out your stencils, having a look at them, and then it makes it quite easy to line them up. So we're just going to go light. Now we're after number 2. Here's number 2. So again, we're going to find this set of little flowers here. So that's going to go over there. And then we're going to look for this little V shape here, which will come down and go under this little V shape here. So if we line the center of one of the little flowers up with that V shape, and then these two little bits here, we can now go darker. And then we're going to do, and just make sure you don't go off the page, otherwise you'll end up with stuff where you don't want it. So again, lining up this little V shape here with this little V shape here and this little center here. So just looking for stuff on your stencils that you can recognize and know that that will help line things up for you. So all lined up, and then our third one. So again, we've got, yes, so this is our little flower center here, and again this is the V piece that we're looking for. So you can see there, it's lighter there. If we move that up, we're now covering that white piece. Okay, and we're going to go nice and dark in our center. Done. And then we're going to turn it around, line that up, and get that V piece again to go in there, moving that up. And that's all lined up, nice and dark for the center. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And then we just do the same with the leaves. So this is where we're looking at here, and these are those three leaves that match these three leaves here. And you can see the little tendril, which is that one there. So we're just going to line the three leaves up. And I'm just going to move it out of that. Actually, I'll turn it over so you can see. So line our three leaves up. That's it, just until everything's lined up and we can't see any pink, because we don't want to see any pink. Now remember, light, because this is the first layer. I think that's lined up. And then we add our little highlights on. So you can see here is the three centers of the leaves, and that's the little tendril there. So again, we can just line those up so that they're going into the center of those leaves. And see how you can see the white bit there? Well, we just need to twist it a little bit, don't we? So that we can't see any of the pink. And we can't see any white. Okay, then just going over with the darker green to give that highlight, that detail, that contrast, whatever word you want to use. And then we can just turn it around, turn the stencil around or turn the card around, whichever floats your boat. And then we just line everything up again. That looks about right. And again, because it's a second layer, we're going to go darker. So all done. So basically card completed. So if you would like any more information about any of the things that I've shown you, please feel free to contact me, or you can go to lucyjonesstampinupdemonstrator.net and search me out if you want to shop via my web store. I hope this has been helpful for you, and I'll be doing a full demo of how I actually made these cards. So I just thought I'd give you the stencil video first, and then we'll show you how to put the cards together. Okay, take care, have fun, happy crafting.